up, y'all, and welcome back to The Elevated Woman. My name is Lacey if you're new here, and I talk a little bit about everything from my faith to business, entrepreneurship, to being a mom. So make sure you click subscribe because I am so excited to be back in the flow of trying to create content, which if you've watched any of my other videos, you probably heard me say, I'm back, I'm coming back, and honestly, I will be 100% transparent with y'all. It is hard to be a content creator and to be consistent with making videos when so many other things in life are happening at once, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. So I will be honest with you guys, I have been going through a lot, not even just this year, but for the past couple of years, honestly. And I know that this is probably just part of life, and not everybody's life is perfect. Not everybody's life is just all roses and daisies and peaches and cream. But honestly, I can see that I've been going through some things consistently for the past few years. And so I've reached a point in my walk with God where I'm having those really, really honest conversations with Him. And I'm not holding back my frustrations. And I'm telling Him how hurt and upset and angry and confused I am. I feel like growing up, we would always hear, oh, you shouldn't ask God questions, but that's not true. It's not that we shouldn't ask God questions, but it's that we shouldn't try to seek to be as wise as He is, because it's never going to happen, obviously. But I think it's those moments where we are asking God questions and we are bringing our frustrations to Him that He has the room and He has the space to not only answer some of those questions, but to really come in and bring peace and joy and heal those places that are hurting. And so in the past few months, I've been in such a place where I'm not only confused, but I'm also hurt. And I also feel broken, and just trying to understand how a God who is so amazing, who is so capable, who is so powerful, can allow so many things, so many wrong things that I feel like are wrong and bad happen to me in such a short amount of time. And so that's really what prompted me to study the book of Job, because book of Job and the story of Job is probably familiar to most of you. And it was somewhat familiar to me. I had always known that Job had all of these things, taken from him, and the devil took so many things from him, took his children, took his fortune, took his land, just all of these things. And, God restored him. But because I was starting to feel so much like I was in a Job situation, I really wanted to study the book of Job, and I wanted to understand exactly what he was doing there during this time. How was he coping, and what were the ways that he was interacting with God? How was God interacting with him? Like I because it was so similar to my situation, I felt like I really wanted to study Job and to see the similarities, because I'm a firm believer if God did it before, He can do it again. And it was in the book of Job that I found so many similarities between his story and my story. I'm not sure if I've ever related more closely to someone in the Bible as I have Job. And I know in previous times I feel like I've, been in situations where I felt like Jeremiah, or, just other, I saw myself in some of the characters, but for some reason, Job has really stood out to me. Now, Job lost a lot. He lost kids, okay? I could not imagine. I have a daughter. I have a 3-year-old. I could not imagine. And so I haven't lost things, I feel like, as big as Job, but I've lost a lot in the past couple years. So if you open up the book of Job, it immediately introduces this man who feared God, and he had all of these sons and daughters. He had all of these animals, and he had servants. And of course, back in the day, in the Bible times, when you had all these servants, you had all these animals, that meant you was You was balling, you was rich. And so it introduces Job as this man who is very well off. So Job is introduced in the first few verses. And then in Job, the first chapter, it says, the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? No one else on earth is like him, a man of perfect integrity who fears God and turns away from evil. So God and Satan are having this conversation. God is saying, here is this man. He has been serving me. He fears me. This is a good man, Savannah.
He's a good man, Savannah. A good man.
And Satan responds, and he's like, Job, ain't that your homeboy? Like, don't you have him protected? Don't you have a hedge around him? Satan's like, you think that's your boy? I bet. If I come and destruct everything he owns, I bet you he gonna flip on you. So God was like, you know what? I know my boy. Go ahead. Touch everything he got, but you can't touch him. Don't you lay a finger on his head. And so after that, that's when all the trouble starts, right? So he loses his kids, he loses his servants, he loses his animals, like he loses all of these things. And then his wife literally tells him, like, you should curse God and die. Like, what are you doing? Why are you still serving God? And this part really stuck out to me because how many of us have lost so many things, yet we're still chasing our passion. We're still going after our dreams. We're still serving God faithfully. And yet we have these people around us. They don't see what we see. They don't see the vision. And so logically, in their minds, after losing all of this stuff, after going through all of these things, they're telling you, give up. Go get a job. Why are you still chasing your passion? Why are you still going to church? God ain't done nothing for you. So Job's wife tells him, you should curse God and die. You done lost all this stuff. Like, why are you still doing this? And Job says, should we accept only good from God and not adversity? Throughout all this, Job did not sin in what he said. Throughout the entire book of Job, there's these conversations between him and his friends where after all of this that he's going through, to make matters worse, his friends are mocking him in his situation. And it's so interesting to see this exchange between Job and his friends. It's literally like they're kicking him while he's down. One of Job's responses really stuck out to me, and I'm going to read it from you guys. By the way, I'm reading from the She Reads Truth Bible, and this is a CSB translation. And this is Job chapter 6, verse 11 through 13. And it says, what strength do I have that I should continue to hope? What is my future that I should be patient? Is my strength that of stone or my flesh made of bronze? Since I cannot help myself, the hope for success has been banished from me. And y'all, I felt that so much to my core because honestly, after all of the things and I wish I could go through the list of things that I have experienced like over the past few years, but when things start happening to you, it really beats at your faith. It really messes with your mental health, and it really hurts your heart. So much so that you are questioning, what did I do wrong? How can I keep going? Where is my hope? Where is my faith? Like, it's this after this, after this, after this. You literally start to feel weak. Like, there's no other way to put it besides feeling weak, and not just physically weak, but really feeling weak in your heart and weak in your soul. And I really felt that because that is what I've been experiencing over the past few months. Aside from Job's entire story, and even if you go to the end, it's about 42 chapters. And in the end, you see in just a few verses, God restores everything tenfold that was taken from Job. The part that I love, that really resonates with me, actually is in Job chapter 1. And it's before his wife tells him to curse God and die. It's before his friends come along and start poking fun at him. After everything that happens and everything is taken from him, Job says, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will leave this life. The Lord gives and the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Throughout all this, Job did not sin or blame God for anything. I love that part because it's so easy to turn to other things. It's so easy to turn to sex, to turn to alcohol, to turn to drugs, to turn to people, to turn to all of these other things in the world that will make you feel good in the moment. Some people use food, some people use shopping. It's so easy to turn to those things that will kind of make you feel good and put a band-aid over the hurt that you're feeling. It's really in these moments that we are being tested and we are being tempted. And the question that I have from those verses that I ask myself is, what will your response be? Job, instead of cursing God and instead of turning into a bitter person, instead of, turning to things that would have only given him a temporary high, Job still chose to worship God in the midst of adversity. His immediate response was not to curse God, but his immediate response was to turn to God instead of turning away from God. And the enemy wants so desperately for us to forget who we are, to forget who God has called us to be, to forget the blessings that God has given to us in the past. He wants us to forget those things. He wants us to only focus on the things that are going wrong in our life. He wants us to only see all of the things that are being taken away from us instead of focusing on the things that we do have. And I'll be honest, when things happen to me, when I get bad news, my immediate response is not always to worship. My immediate response is sometimes to just be frustrated and to just dwell on whatever happened instead of falling on my face and worshiping God for the door that closed, because you have no idea what was behind that door. You have no idea what God was saving you from. I will say that one of the hardest things in this season has been to just remain true to myself and to not respond in a negative way. So if you are in a tough situation like myself, if you are experiencing loss and hurt and pain and you are just confused and you're hurt and you're broken, I just want you to ask yourself, what will your response be? Because it's in these moments, it is in these times of trial that we are really being tested on our faith. And instead of turning towards things that will only give you a temporary fulfillment, instead of turning towards people who do not pour into your cup, who do not fulfill you, I want to challenge you to turn your face towards God. And even when you don't feel like it, even when it hurts you to your core, even when you are feeling broken inside, I want you to worship. Even if your worship is just laying on the floor and crying, no words, just not in tears, just you and God. Because I firmly believe for those of us who are experiencing this season of loss, that God is going to make up for it. I don't believe that we serve a God who is just going to strip things away from us and not restore those things back into us, or not restore them or bring other things to fill in that which has been taken from us. Don't let this season make you bitter. Let this season make you better. This is not the time for you to go back to the person that you used to be. This is the time for you to keep your heart pure. I love you guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. It's a little bit different than what I have been talking about on this channel, but I really am excited to kind of bring back more content about faith and Christianity. So again, if that is content that you love and enjoy, including business and entrepreneurship and day in the life subs and motherhood content, then make sure you hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye y'all.